Good evening and welcome to Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms. This is Raph streaming to you live high above the keep in the hot air balloon. And tonight I have Neindorf with me as always. Neindorf, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Is this episode 50, by the way?
This is episode 50. We made it there.
Wow, that's a feat. I honestly never thought we'd get to 50.
Yeah, I don't think anyone who knows us personally thought we would either.
Uh,
It was just a wild day with we're planning on spending pretty much the whole podcast talking about our reaction to the Klaytn news today. It is August 25th. It's a Thursday, and the DFK team went through the details, some of the details about what the expansion to Klaytn's going to look like and kind of how that process is going to go. I took some notes, feeling a little overwhelmed by all the details. So YouTubers out there who are listening live, feel free to help us out, throw some comments in, or ask us questions, keep us on track, whatever you need to do. So I'll be probably going off of I have the Serendale 2.0 Medium article that the DeFi Kingdoms team put out. So I'll probably use that as maybe the outline for what we're going to go down. Neindorf, do you have any specific questions of the day, or do you want to just kind of break into the main event?
sure, before we get too serious, I guess I just thought it was pretty good here. I'm looking at the YouTube comments. I like Bob Nothing here, or Big Nothing rather, saying Jewel flipping. That's that's pretty funny. Uh,
Yeah.
it's getting closer.
Yeah.
Uh, so, question of the day. All right, this is going to be kind of a silly one, but they refuse to name their new token, right? And then they give us this chart with an orange thing. What do you think it's going to be? Let's get some predictions here. What's this new token going to be called?
the, the orange chart, the orange. Oh,
Yeah, so
that's
if you look at those pie charts from the AMA
yeah.
at the bottom, you can clearly see the jewel, the crystal, and then there's like the orange oval. So
It is. It does
what
look like an orange
token?
slice. I didn't
And
even think of this. You're spot on here. Yeah, it looks like a
they,
jewel, a crystal, and
oh yeah, I don't know. Is that a Pringle? No.
that's a good one right
Uh,
there. All right, we should do a
yeah.
giveaway tonight for the best answer for
Yes. All right.
speculative Pringle can. So, and I believe
That's
we also
perfect.
have a another giveaway going on with the on Discord as well. So that's going
Oh
live
yes.
right now. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, I posted that a while earlier. I just used the normal Discord giveaway bot. That way, anybody could have up to, I think I had 10 hours to participate in case, we're catching people off cycles and whatnot.
Yeah, excellent. All right. Well, thanks for doing that. I much appreciated. All
Yeah,
right.
you bet.
Yeah, I don't know what the orange slice is. Yeah,
So yeah, I
it's
think that's great. Yeah, let's get some comments in YouTube with your name and your vote for what you think that thing is. I think this could be some fun.
yeah. All right. So we'll go down kind of their list, the PDF that has the orange slice on it. Sarandel to Harmony to be retired. They talked about how they're very appreciative of the Harmony network. It's what allowed them to get started, but it's not the system that will take them forward. I thought they went into a painstaking level of detail talking about some of the challenges and how much Avalanche stepped up to the plate when it came to after Harmony and the crypto winter started. It looked like they weren't going to get any of their grant money, and then they definitely weren't going to get any of their grant money after the bridge hacks happened. And the fact that Avalanche came to support them, I thought was really impressive. And it sounded like they front loaded a lot of the opportunity contracts that they had in place, and just to keep the team going and rolling. And of course, it sounds like Klaytn is bringing in a lot of really favorable. I'm calling it old money. I think there's a lot of investors in that area of the world looking to get into some of these crypto projects. Where's Axie Infinity based out of? Is that a Chinese-owned company? I think it is, right?
I'm not certain, to be honest with you.
So I think that there's an opportunity for I think a lot of old money to come into the game, and I think also yet at the same time have a dynamic partnership built around trust and allowing the DeFi Kingdoms team to do what they do best. So that's pretty exciting. It sounds like they're going to be phasing off, like turning the light switch off of Serendale, and so one day the wishing well is going to be closed. The next day, profession quests are going to be closed. And eventually, they're going to turn everything, all the features off. Then they're going to snapshot whatever's left. And then after some period of time and transfer, they're going to relaunch Serendale. And it's going to be the 2.0, new and improved. And it's going to launch with all the features day one. So they're not going to ease their way into it. They're going to turn everything on. And when it launches, it's going to come with 500 new heroes and 4 new classes. So that's 2 basic classes. It's the other pair to Crystal Veil. So I think that's really interesting that they are integrating, this with both one of the expansions that we have been promised and just the revamp of Serendale. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think going back through, you laid it out really nicely, and I think the Serendale 2.0 chart you got on screen there, that pie chart, your discussion where you mentioned how AVAX stepped up to the plate, I strongly suspect that's why the chunk of that pie, which is crystal, is so much larger than it was in the previous one. I think that
Right.
they bought some more skin in the game, more or less, and I think due to their willingness to help in such a time, I think that guarantees that there's going to be a presence for DFK on this Avalanche chain for the as long as the team is still making progress. I think that really solidified their spot.
Yeah, and I
Um,
think we're going to keep coming back to this through a lot of the different bullet points, even with the
yes,
utility changes to Jewel. I think Dreamer talked at one point about they considered the idea of Jewel being the power token on Serendale 2.0, but that would kind of favor Serendale 2.0. And originally, Serendale was favored because they were the initial launch, and they did not
right.
shy away from that. But now this puts Avalanche on an even playing field, which I think you're absolutely right. That's a real sign of thanks and partnership
It,
that they helped them out.
and too, I think you're mentioning that there's a new more genes releasing, more classes releasing. I was just having a conversation with somebody like yesterday, the day before. We were kind of hypothesizing, how long is it going to take until you get a pair for a Dread Knight? We're like, this could be years away to know, what does a Dread Knight and something else pair with? And we don't even know what the name for the next rank of heroes would be after Transcendent. Is it Godlike? I don't know,
Yeah,
And so this
Super
actually
Saiyan.
helps. Yeah, right. Actually helps get us closer to that in a relatively short order.
Hmm.
So I think I'm cool with that because it's great in all the ad chains as you go down the road, but I think I like this thought that I kind of have, whereas those original 8 basic heroes and that chain is kind of more like your general heroes that kind of apply to any realm. And now you're starting to see like realm specific heroes, which I think I like it. I think there's a lot of lore they could do with this. I think it opens up a lot of storylines, and I don't know. I'm just excited about it, to be honest with you.
I absolutely am too. All right, so where do you want to take this next? I'll just kind of go down the notes here. All right, Serendale on Harmony to be retired, snapshot to be taken. Okay, we covered everything there. Serendale 2.0 launching, new utility token. We got some great names streaming in on YouTube right now.
Oh yeah,
I won't spoil those. We'll zoom back up and save that for the end. New classes and gene sets synchronized with the Klaytn theme. So they're going for some to incorporate, whether it's Korean culture or Asian culture in general into the game. They made a mention to that in the AMA. I think that's awesome. Everyone right away is latching on to Japanese warrior culture, and it's like we need samurais.
oh yeah.
So I'm really excited about what they can do there, and maybe even change or modify some of the aesthetics. I mean, I think there's just so much, beautiful art that they can draw on from that region of the world. So I think that's really neat, and I'm looking forward to that. I hope, I hope it's a little more than minor changes. I hope that, they're saying that they're not changing any functionality, but I'd love to see, the design team get another crack at it. You saw how much they grew and evolved from going from Serendale to Crystal Vale, and so giving them another chance at this, I think they could make something that's really beautiful.
Oh, I totally agree. The zones of Crystal Vale are just jam-packed with detail and nuance. And it kind of, going backwards in time and looking at the ones in Ferndale, it almost, it makes them look a lot more basic and kind of rudimentary. So, and do you remember? I wish should have thought of this ahead of time to pull up one of the old pictures of what it used to look like, back in like October of last
Oh,
year.
it was,
It,
yeah, it looked
so
like a
basic.
Super Nintendo game.
It sure did. It was still really cool. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
man, that team has really prospered.
Yeah. And they mentioned here, so going to the next bullet point, they're planning on leaning on Synops, the bridge company that they've really indicated is becoming more of a partner now than anything else, and being able to allow for full bridging services between the two realms. And I think that will continue to, just like you mentioned with the pie graph, which is, you can see it very visually, I think that's going to help keep parity really between those two tokens. I would guess that there's more liquid crystal available at launch, but maybe not. I think it kind of depends on how much liquid, new token they inject. So it sounds like, let's jump to that real quick. It sounds like that they're going to take the lock jewels, and one of the things that I love about the tokenomics is I feel like they solved a lot of problems here. So the unlock Apocalypse was coming our way very shortly, and so the new proposal will be to fix that and to change the way the power tokens work. And so they're going to develop the new power token. They are going to cap Jewel at 125 million, and they are going to take all lock Jewel, and I believe split that, and it's going to be every lock Jewel is going to account for one of the other tokens, and I don't know what the split is going to be yet. I think someone asked in the AMA voiceless chat if it's going to follow the same percentages that you see here, and they said close, but maybe not exactly that. So that is, it would turn into liquid crystal, liquid new token, and liquid jewel. And I guess, yeah, so let's have, what are your reaction or your thoughts to that?
Yeah, I think it does a couple of things. I mean, first of all, obviously, like you said, I wouldn't say it solves this problem. I think it postpones it, right? Because now you're going to end up with locked crystal and locked new coin. So you're still going to have a lot of tokens on the market in the future. Now that the time frame on that, who knows? Do you remember, if, and maybe our listeners can chime in on YouTube here, is there an unlock date for Crystal in the docs that is similar to how Serendale has already hit? Or is that something that we have to just mine over time? That's kind of what I was trying to remember, because if it's something that there's another unlock date that's out like 6 months, I mean, they technically just kind of postpone this problem. Maybe even, make it worse for Crystal Vale, because now there's going to be a lot more locked crystal than there ever could possibly have been before. So that's something to keep in mind. I mean, I think this is still going to be a problem whenever you're opening up more, volume of your token to the market. It's always got that potential to crash price, but I think hopefully it'll be more a measured approach than, what was it, the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of jewel that we're going to be hitting the market every week.
Right. And I think you're right that we'll have to see what the time is. And I guess the one thing that I should mention that I'm uncertain of is, does the locked token become fully liquid and unlocked, or does that transfer 1-to-1 to liquid? It would become liquid jewel, because there'll then no longer be any more locked jewel. Does that
Right.
become locked crystal and locked new token? If that's the case, I would feel better about it being a little longer term. And I think by that point in time, by kicking the can down the road, they can also lean on there being more in-game features available for people to actually utilize the token, which could potentially offset some of the supply pressure would be offset by demand pressure.
Oh, and no doubt they had a whole bunch of other ideas for ways that they could incentivize people to keep their tokens locked. And I just think they didn't have enough time to get those measures implemented. So I think this buys them an ample amount of time where they can go make in-game reasons for you to keep locked tokens. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I'm don't get me don't misinterpret me. I'm definitely bullish here. I just it's one of those things that as a part of this game, that's something that we're just gonna have to watch basically forever and keep an eye on.
Yeah. So I made a quick pros and cons list as I was thinking about Jewel. And, I've kind of in my mind gone back and forth between bullish, maybe a little bearish, maybe a little less bullish, maybe a little less bearish. And I'm not quite sure where I'm going to land on Jewel the token and what it's going to be in the future. I think that the new plan that they have, Jewel will likely be more valuable in the future than it otherwise would have been if they stuck with their current plan. Let's just say, the Harmony hack didn't happen. They were forced to stay on the chain. I actually think that the plan that they have now would actually be better than otherwise what would have been kind of normal state in a bear market. So I will say I'm generally positive on this. So here are my pros of Jewel right now. It's going to have a lower market cap, and so it's going from what was 500 million to 125 million. It's definitely going to continue to be gas on Crystal Vale and likely going to be gas on the new network. Now they worked through some. We'll get to that probably a little later because this will be a layer 1 subnet instead of a layer 2 subnet. And so it sounds like they might have to do some funny business in the background of actually making that transfer work, making the gas utility work while it's still on layer 1. It will become or remain the governance token and be the only governance token in the future. And so all voting will be done and accomplished by held XJewel, and also heroes. It sounds like it's going to be the in-game hold and award token, which it has been in the past, but it sounds like they're going to bring that forward. They used to do all the land drop snapshots, amulets, Win Lambo, and
Yeah.
I think at some point they're going to start incorporating. To me, it sounded like they almost were indicating like less around items and more around gameplay. Like if you want to, and I'm recklessly speculating here, but this is what I'm hopeful for. If you want to host a tournament on your land, you have to put up 1,000 XJewel, and that's probably actually not that much. You have to post up 10,000 XJewel, or your guild has to post 10,000 XJewel, and then you can stand to be the ones that reap the rewards from that tournament. So I think if they incorporate gameplay features like that, that'll be really neat. Other pros,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. Yeah, I think the one that really stuck out to me was where it said reduce or exempt fees. That almost made it seem as though if they're talking about gas fees, like or something, could you be exempt from gas fees or somehow if you have enough stake, and then like that maybe some of the funny business behind the scenes you're talking about. But definitely increased rewards. Like, please tell us more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that one is really got us on the edge of our seat.
Yeah, I think Dreamer referenced that in League of Legends, he uses as an example, you could buy a season pass. And the season pass allows all the things that you unlock to become more valuable. So it kind of like doubles your in-game rewards. So I could see something like that as well. And
Sure.
It's kind of ripping something off, but if it works, why try
Absolutely.
to reinvent the wheel? And then I think, in my opinion, for the most part, they solved the unlockalypse. So I or at least kicked it really far down the road. So here, I don't have a lot of cons, but here are the two cons that I really wanted to suss out with you on the podcast. One, I feel like they've greatly reduced the I've written down demand consumption, but what I really mean by that isn't so much demand of transactions, but demand of magnitude of the transactions. And so because you're no longer summoning heroes with it, summoning 2 Gen Zeros costs 60 Joule. Presumably building something on what land was going to be would have cost hundreds of Joule. And if you wanted to sum a Dread Knight, what's that? The minimum is 120 something Joule is what it costs you to try to go for that kind of summon. So, some of the in-game transactions that were the burning mechanisms for the token, or the use and hide-away mechanisms, whether you're burning the token or just putting it in, diverting it and putting it into a reward pool, the magnitude of those transactions has gone down drastically. When you look at, the gas fees, and they can manipulate and control the gas fees in the future, but that is one thing that I would say is a con of the current move. And before I get to the next one, I'll let you react to that.
Yeah, so I think you do have a good point. There will be a lot less Joule being spent in game that creates those economic circles. But I think those circles will just be replaced by the new token.
Right.
So their quest funds will be filled with the new token instead of Joule. So Joule won't be making the runaround as often in these economic circles.
Yeah.
But it should still maintain its position as the key token. So I kind of look at it like, in the US here we're kind of lucky. Dollars are kind of accepted pretty much everywhere. But still though, if you kind of travel abroad, it's the most convenient to take your money and convert it to local currency. So you don't really have to worry about it. You just transact that locally. So I feel like that's kind of what they're going for here is Joule is going to be like the glue underneath everything.
And
it's the conduit is the word I'm looking for. It's the conduit.
I agree with that. And Sergeant Filthy McNasty's making a comment on YouTube that I think is helping give me a chance to better highlight, I think, the point that I was trying to make with this one. And while I think you're right, I think where I was coming from with this initial list, and I did a poor job of, saying this at the up front, is that I was thinking of kind of the pros and cons list from a very selfish perspective of how much money will Raph have in 6 months and what will the price of Joule be?
Sure.
And so he's reminding me that I used to think that Joule was, potentially would hold a value of $5. That was a bit of an outdated view, Sergeant. I would say I was probably hovering closer between $1 and $2 as of recently over the last couple months is where I thought it would stabilize. And now, honestly, after today's information, I think it's going to stick around. I think it's going to hold its value well. I think you're right that it's going to be that currency, so that flow between. I think it's going to be easy to transfer and get your money from one game to one realm to the other. But I think this kind of hampers or caps its future total dollar value per Joule. What are your thoughts there?
I think I would agree, except I think the one piece that will significantly help it will be there will probably still be reward pools in the gardens for Joule on both sides. And that's going to drive huge demand because they can put a pretty large percentage of the return rate, if they so choose, on Joule pools. And I think they will.
And it could return the power token of that realm too, right?
And exactly.
It probably will.
So you won't earn Joule, you'll earn the other token. However, your Joule is earning you a significant value. I think that's how they'll attack this problem is with the gardening.
That's clever. I hadn't thought of that. I thought that I think there are. You're doing a good job highlighting that if they get creative, they could come up with a lot of different ways to do this.
Oh, no doubt. And they've proven to us how creative they are.
So I just kind of tried to run through some quick numbers here to prove my low cap of price point. We have about 5,000 active players now. And let's just say we get to 15,000 active players. With 125 million tokens in circulation, that's 8,300 Joule per person. And obviously, that's not going to be an average. But just for the sake of argument, I feel like with the cost of gas fees right now in Crystal Vale, 10 Jewel tokens could be a lifetime supply of gas. Um, and so, I'm just wondering. So you say 27K jewels. So 27,000 jewels have been burnt on Crystal Vale. Is that right? So
In
that is
gas, yeah, I believe
that is
I was either
wow.
24 or 27,000 joule have
That's
already
a
been
lot.
burnt. And that's the 50% of the gas, and the other 25% went to the validators, and the other 25 goes to the quest fund.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, only until recently has the transaction count really started to chug up on Crystal Vale.
Right.
So, and there's still all those applications out there that are, like DiffKey, for example, that are running gardeners on Serendale and
Right.
DFK Earn. I'm pretty sure DFK Earn is still only and probably ever be, at least
Mm.
until they implement something on this new chain, maybe in Serendale, because you can't run custom contracts on DFK chain without
Yeah.
being whitelisted. And I bet you they're not going to whitelist a DFK Earn like contract.
Right.
Just guessing
Yeah.
though.
And so that is it's going to be a deflationary token. So I asked this question in the voiceless chat, and they did answer this a couple different ways. But as it stands right now, they are not planning on increasing or reminting any of the tokens that do get burned out of that 125 million. Um, but they could obviously modify the gas fees in the future to consume less of a jewel, right? Um,
Right.
and so I think that there's a lot of things, like you said, there's a lot of mechanisms, a lot of levers that they can pull to manipulate the price. But I guess, and as always, this is never financial advice and always reckless speculation. But I wouldn't plan on getting rich quick based off of buying up Jewel at a low price.
Sure. Yeah, I
And
hear you.
yeah, in fact, I've been thinking about now that Crystal Vale or Crystal and Jewel are starting to get close to 1, actually starting to move some of my Jewel over to Crystal now. So we'll see.
Oh
I
yeah,
may even do that
interesting.
tonight. Move just a few thousand, a bit to hedge my bets. As longtime listeners know, I'm 100% in Serendale Gardens. Um, and so, I don't know if I'm going to stay in the Serendale Gardens. I'll probably ride them out till sunset. But I don't know if I'm going to start hedging some of that bet and moving things over into Crystal just in case Crystal gets back up to being more expensive in the future.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that. I feel like I have a pretty good split. I definitely don't have it consolidated. I mean, I've got some in ETH mixed with game
Mm.
tokens. I've got some AVAX mixed with game tokens. It's
You have
game
a healthy
tokens mixed with other
balance.
game tokens. It's yeah, I feel like I'm a little all over the
I
place
have a
with my
degen
LP.
balance. You have a healthy balance.
I do, yes. Um, there was a point I was going to make, and I lost it after that comment. I'll come back to you if I remember it. Oh, yeah, I know. Getting back to your point of you know, so you're adjusting your new target, say, to $1, perhaps, maybe not even
I
quite
I
for Jewel.
was going to say $1 before, and now I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's hard, and I was chat. This is another topic I was kind of chatting with on the side here earlier today with someone about, technically some people like to get concerned, they're like, oh, but if it's deflationary, well, someday it's going to get down to one token. I'm like, yeah, that could be thousands of years. And even if it isn't thousands of years, there's other mechanisms where tokens kind of get burnt all the time and people forget about, and it's like lost accounts, or I hate to say it, people who don't write their phrases down somewhere and get hit by a bus or something. Like,
Yep.
or what about the guy who lost a hard drive and had like 2,000 Bitcoin on it? Like,
Right.
man, those are gone. You know, so there are other
Drop your
deflationary
keys in hot
mechanisms.
lava. Man, it's
Yeah,
gone.
right. There's human error deflationary mechanisms as well that we just can't monitor.
Yeah.
So I love the burn. I'm thinking that we can see that. I'd love to see this jewel burn ratio by the end of the year with how much people are ramping up transactions on Crystalville. I'd love us to get to, 150, 200, maybe even a quarter million burn already. Imagine that.
Yeah, it'll be really just curious to see what they do and how fast the Klaytn users come on board as well, because then if everyone needs to buy 1,000 Joule as a starting balance, or a recommended balance, it could go fast. It could get eaten up fast, and the price could skyrocket all of a sudden.
So here's another thought, random segue maybe, but so if Joule is going to be the governance token, do you think the development team themselves and like their wallets will stick to Crystal and this new token and more or less not have Joule holdings to avoid some of this kerfuffle that happened before where people are, you know, because they always want to toe the line of, Kingdom Studios, here's our suggested course of action, but we don't actually make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if they would even go so far as to say, look, we're not even going to hold Joule or X Joule so that we don't really get any vote. We are actually, but we still want to be invested in our own product because we like it and we think it's going places. So we're going to actually invest in Crystal and the new token. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I see your point. I think I saw the announcement that Fox just made after the AMA that said, "Hey, the team is going to abstain from the voting process since we prepared the vote." I would, and not in like a bad way or like accusing them of being nefarious, but I would think that they'd want to hold on to it for your very reason, even though they've always been community focused. And in my opinion, have done the right thing, like right now, where they're stepping out of the vote itself. But you still, it's kind of like the ability to have 51% of the votes for a public corporation. I think that they're going to want to maintain that control. I see that being kind of the smart thing to do. Maybe not the most community focused thing, but while I understand where you're coming from, I don't think they would give up that power.
Sure. That's a good point. Yeah, and then even if they did, you'd be applying more sell pressure to Joule because they'd have to get rid of it to convert it. So it would be more of those things like, what are they doing? Are they manipulating the market? Yeah, it might even just beg more questions other than to just leave it alone.
Yeah. So Spinoza Jr. is putting in some interesting comments here on YouTube.
Ooh, wow, yeah.
Saying Joule's much more like Axie's token now. The valuation of Axie's, even at these prices, puts Joule at $10 to $12. So $5 to $6 is completely on the table.
Wow.
I think, I guess where my thoughts are, and I flip back and forth on this one. So you guys are helping me. You're, as always, providing some couch time, YouTube listeners, and you, Niner, for my therapist. I guess where I feel on this is I could see the power tokens being a higher value than the governance token. And so I'm wondering if I should start moving out of Joule and into Crystal right now.
Sure. Yeah, and especially if you want to play the game, I think that makes sense, right? If you want to actively summon, if you want to participate in these events, you want to hatch eggs, you want to play duels, I feel like those are the things that you're going to want to convert and hold for. Um, uh, and then there's, of course, like we mentioned earlier, it all comes back down to me. A lot of my strategy in this game now is gardening maximization. Which pool is going to have the best reward. I'll kind of go to whatever token gives me that best reward, to be honest with you, because I think all of them. You've made this analogy before, but like the rising tide, right, where all ships get raised. I think all three of these tokens together, if you get to 15,000 or 20,000 or 30,000 players active, they're all going to rise.
Everything's going to the moon if that happens. Yeah. Yeah, that would be awesome if we could get to 15,000 players. That's for sure. All right, so let's bring up the notes again. Kind of going off the rails here, just scanning through all my steady stream of consciousness as I was listening to the AMA. Phase shutdown, we talked about that. 1-to-1 ratio, the lock Joule Oh, I do have it written down here. Um, yeah, someone asked a question directly. Will I get 1-to-1 Lock Jewel for Lock Crystal and Lock Klaytn? And they did say 1-to-1. Okay, so I corrected my comment from earlier then. So you won't get unlocked liquid tokens. You will get lock tokens for that Lock Jewel. Presumably that would restart the unlock period, but that I do not have confirmed.
Right.
All right, so classes. We have 2 more basic classes, which means we have another advanced class to partner with the Shapeshifter, and that will give us a new elite class, which is on par with the Sage and Dragoon. So there are 4 new classes total, and I know a couple people in Discord were already buying up the Shapeshifter 5 of 5 Gen 1s that were at a significant discount. I think they were going for like 150 jewel earlier today. And you look for a ninja, paladin, or anything like that. Maybe at like 240 jewel, you start to see Gen 2s that are 5 out of 5. So I think there's a lot of smart gals out there on our Discord buying those up. What are your thoughts with the new classes?
Oh yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I do think that bump will probably be somewhat short-lived, because again, you still
It's a
can't
long
get
wait.
to a
Yeah.
Dread Knight peer, and I think that's kind of where the value that's what'll drive the value up.
Hmm.
But I think this is a nice, it's a nice somewhat of a balancing for these 2 new classes, and I think that this will kind of help. If you look at the distribution of heroes across the classes, it's pretty far skewed down yet for
Hmm.
the new ones from Crystal Vale. So this should help in the long run if people are buying and summoning, because I think we want to see parity amongst the classes. Honestly, I think that
Right.
just it gives us the best chance of having like the future of this game make the most sense, have the most options. Honestly,
It really, that's probably not going to happen until combat, because you'll always have the other classes that have a head start.
right?
And so it's going to be hard for the other ones to catch up. And, they're at a bit of a disadvantage starting out with 500 Gen Zeros instead of, uh, well, I guess everyone starts out with 500, right? Or no.
Oh yeah, right.
No,
Because
no,
there was
no, no.
twice as many.
Each basic in. No, no, no. I'm getting confused. Yeah, everyone starts out with the same number of basics.
Yep, that is correct. Yep. So there should be a nice even balance.
Yeah. All right, so kind of going all over the place and jumping through my notes here. It sounded like Polygon and Phantom, they were really hinting towards them being the front runners. They talked a lot about why they didn't go with Polygon, almost like apologizing to the community. Thought that was interesting, and they mentioned that they have some. And this is the second time that Dreamers mentioned this. That they have a plan for like a futuristic mechanized imagery for what Polygon would look like if they were to build art out for Polygon. So I think that's pretty neat and something to look forward towards for all you Matic fans out there.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. It sounds like it was kind of more like a grab. Like they wanted, like, no, you want to come here, you got a wholesale move here.
Yeah,
And that's a hard ask for a team like DFK, who they kind of have their own goals. They're not driven just by, it doesn't seem at least driven by that payday. It seems like they really, and Frisky said it in the AMA today, they really want to see this multi-chain,
mm-hmm.
multiverse game prosper. And having somebody basically tell them they have to move all their realms to the same chain really defeats that goal. And I don't think they would have ever run with that.
Yeah. So next on my questions in the AMA chat, I asked Hubert, will there be an impact? I said, thanks for sharing the information on the total hero classes. Will there be an impact on the total prospective number of lands? And he said, potentially. This move
Oh,
makes it so we are planning on fewer expansions, so there could be less real estate to work with in the end. So I think that might be, point one for the bulls out there looking to scoop up some land. It might get more rare.
right. Yeah, well, and it makes sense, right? So maybe they'll have to go to 250 plots per realm now instead of 200 or whatever the split was going to be.
Yeah.
And make them a nice even, quarter of the pie.
Yeah.
So I think that makes sense. Even still, though, you think about that, 250 plots on that map is going to be
That's a lot. Yeah.
really difficult to get to.
All right. They'll have to do a map expansion again, probably.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, the fog of war will move back, and it might be on like some of these other really really large online games where you kind of have to go out to a regional map and then you zoom into a region. I suspect that they could employ something like that.
Yeah. There will be another Gen Zero reroll for genes, both visual genes and class genes. And let's see, what else did I miss?
That's
They're going to
interesting right
phase out
there.
Extral
Did did they
or
are
X
you going to be
Crystal.
able to
Sorry.
re-roll an already re-rolled Zen Zero?
I I
I
would
would
think
assume so.
yes. I would think yes with what their goal is.
Interesting. So we could have some Gen Zeros out there that get some pretty nice boosts if you've been participating in all these events.
Right. Right. X Crystal will be getting phased out. It sounds like, and they'll be going to just staking X Jewel at all of the jewelers at each of the realms. So I thought that was interesting.
I don't know that I even have a single X crystal. I have to go
No,
check.
I definitely don't have any X crystals. Got rid of those when it was. What was it selling for?
$14 or something, or
Even
I
higher
think,
than that at one point. I
or
think
was it in the 30s
it was in
maybe?
the 30s when I unloaded my my X
Yeah, it
crystals.
was. Oh man, those days were crazy.
I took the money and ran. I'm not embarrassed. All right, so Crypto Gradient Franz showed up. How you guys doing? Crypto Brady Grady bringing the fire emojis.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, Franz saying with the reroll, do the abilities get rerolled too, or just the subclass? The last time it was just it was all the subclass genes and all the recessive main class genes got rerolled, and you could also choose to reroll all of your visual genetics. So I would guess that they stick to that and do that again.
Yeah, and I think so. The real question becomes, y- how do we balance the ability gene tree, just like we're talking to balancing the class gene tree? So I could foresee there being a thing where in the future, if they don't add, the new basics, which I think they are, I don't think it'll matter in the long run, but you're still gonna have a lopsided, really heavy towards basic 1 to 8 in your abilities, in that tree. So I could foresee there being a future, maybe one of the last rerolls or the last reroll could possibly reroll some of those ability genes. And I could
Now,
see it being something like if you have an elite, maybe it could swap out with any elite
did
just so that
the
you're not losing.
did Crystal Veil start using a new set of abilities though, or did they use one through eight starting abilities as well?
Oh, now I'll have to go double check. I think you're right. I think they're still in 1 through 8.
So I wonder if they just won't expand the ability set. And
That's true.
but I don't know.
They could leave it at one,
Yeah,
one tier down, if you will, and only have 8 ever. That's true. I mean, that's still a lot of abilities if you start to think of like gameplay.
yeah,
Interesting. Yeah, I will have to keep tabs on that one.
for sure. Um, Sergeant said in Gen Chat, Frisky said that they were shooting for late Q3, early Q4. Saradil Chat and Blackwing quick to chime in. That's 4 to 6 weeks away. Holy crap. He's right. That is 4 to 6 weeks away.
Right. Yeah, it's this year's gone. It's been a whirlwind, no doubt. And I bet you that they've already had things on this Klaytn chain up and running locally in their own dev environments, getting these contracts moved and starting to iron things out for a while now. I
Mm-hmm.
suspect it's they're already well on their way to trying to port things if I were to guess, just knowing kind of how this team seems to operate.
Yeah, I sure hope so. I think that's just in time for a Jewel Christmas. That's for sure.
Yes. Oh, there you go.
Alrighty. Shall we go to how much time is left on the Discord giveaway? Do you want to
Oh shoot, I bet
take
that
a peek
already
at
went
that?
over. I bet it's already over. I didn't even look at it. Oh yeah, yeah. We got 91 karmas for the win.
Excellent.
So
Congratulations.
yeah, I'll send a message here on Discord. But yeah, if you're listening, DM me and I'll send over that hero.
All right. Well, what should we give away for our favorite name? So, again, we're going to go back to this. Go ahead and repost what you posted from before. So, because I'm lazy and I don't want to scroll through chat. Um, what is the name of the new power token for Klaytn? Um, so, Nidorf will pick the answer, and I will give away a lesser fortune crystal because I'm all about fortune crystals right now. So we'll give you
Uh,
a few minutes to chime in there, and we'll do that
yeah,
giveaway.
and I'll scroll up while we're waiting. I can rip off some of them here I'm seeing. Um, I'm seeing Black One with Ruby. I'm seeing uh, Big Nothing with Cheeto. uh, Sergeant Filthy saying Jade. All right.
Oh, okay, I could see that.
Dirty Dasho Amber. Ooh, I
Amber,
could see it being Amber. Put that on the end of a stick, put a mosquito in it, and I think you're in the right movie.
right there, Jurassic Park for you.
Oh, so it's gonna be hard to beat Amber. Let's see what else. I'm scrolling. Uh, Mangan. Oh yeah, the man. Here we go.
What's that down here?
I don't even know what it.
Kiln, magnesite. I don't know what's in a magnesite iOS code. I don't know that.
I might have to bring up the old Google machine.
Am I gonna get a computer virus for searching this?
Yeah, I don't know. What is that? Doesn't sound real.
Oh, that's. It looks like it's real, just not that smart.
Probably is.
Ooh, I like a magnesite. They have healing properties.
That's a mouthful, though. It is cool. I'll grant you that.
It looks cool. Yeah. Magnesium carbonate. Isn't that baking soda?
Yeah,
Sodium bicarbonate's baking soda. That's
code speaks well to me. Science and compounds, not so much.
Jordy said he missed a question. We are trying to guess what the orange power token is. So if you zoom in
It's
here,
probably not Cheeto, but I like that vote. I think it's Pringle. It's gonna be
yeah,
Pringles.
Pringle is Nine Dwarfs guess, and I think orange slice, orange peel.
Those things are nasty and delicious at the same time.
Yeah. And
Topaz.
iOS
There's
code.
another
Look
one.
at this. We're getting educated here tonight. This is fantastic. Magnesite is one of the richest mineral deposits in Korea. Oh, that's almost like
Oh,
there is, some
all
secret
right.
insider knowledge right there.
That just edged out. That edged out. Amber. That's a there's a tie to reality there.
All right.
That's got it so far. What else we got? We got anything else rolling in, or is that what we got?
Topaz.
Topaz? Isn't that a blue? I don't know. I don't know
I don't
stones.
know mine very well. Yeah, topaz is blue. Oh,
Oh,
maybe
yellow topaz.
yellow.
Ooh, boy, this is hard. You're
You
gonna have to help
guys
me
get
pick
to
this
see
one.
how far off we are at knowing our crystals and stones.
I didn't expect to be talking
Yeah.
about this.
I, I know Jewel. That's about the only one. Um,
That's right.
all right, so is Magnesite the winner?
I think so. I love the simplicity of Amber, but I like that connection of magnesite.
Yeah. All right, iOS code. Give me your OX and Discord, and I'll shoot you a lesser fortune crystal. All right. So, anything else you want to do tonight?
I think the only so far as if we just do a real quick dev dive, I think I'm working on the features from the vote. There's still time. as I still work through things, everybody go over to Discord and our announcements tab. Feel free to vote on what features you'd like to see next. I've been working on a rudimentary, floor price tool that'll feed nicely, I think, into what I'm going to call a hero comparables view. Uh, Something I've kind of had in mind where, you know, what's the difference between a floor price and a comparable hero? Well, one is fed by an existing ID, and the other one is just across the market. So, some stuff I'm working there. It should be coming out here, hopefully, in not too long. So, look
That's
forward to
awesome.
that.
Do you want to drop any nuggets to dev dive for Brad Pitt?
Oh yeah, I don't know if you guys have been over to the Discord. The Fight Club Discord's in the notes down here. Um, it he was posting a screenshot in the general chat on that Discord that was pretty cool. But I don't know if you guys aren't familiar. He's coming up with this concept that PvP is right now the gameplay that we're kind of used to on Fight Club, where it's you, me, my three heroes versus your three heroes. And he's got this new thing he's coming out with, where he's calling it PvE, or which is basically a player versus environment or AI in this instance. But the new twist on this one is that you're not playing other people's heroes. You're actually going to be in the future playing against other people's pets. Yeah, I see you're pulling it up. Perfect.
Yeah.
Um, I thought this was fantastic. I thought it looked really cool. It's kind of like if I'm understanding it correctly, you'll be able to like stake your pets out there. Not stake in a smart contract sense, but like post them to the server as being available. And yeah, look at that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so we're working through the economics of this. So this is still tentative development, but I could not be more bullish on this game inside the game. I'm so excited. I mean, Joseph, Brad Pitt, Tyler Durden, Edward Norton, whatever we want to call him, genius mind. So we were thinking about doing PvP, and we don't have a very large player base over in Fight Club right now, and so he came up with the idea for PvE, but it's smarter than just regular PvE. And so the whole idea, like Neindorf is saying, is that the teams of pets that you can fight against are pets that are uploaded and registered by each of the users. And then he's going to develop a mechanism for selection to make sure that it's fair. So then what happens is, and right now and again, subject to change, so you can't hold us to this, but we're thinking about 10 Joule will be the battle price, similar to the cost of a 9-person war right now. And so you throw in 10 Joule. If you win, you get raffle tickets comparable to what you would win for a 9-person war. If you lose, then the person who posts up the pets, who developed that team, they actually win those tickets. And so it generates a strong community in that you want to put the best defending pets out there that you can, because the more often that your pet team wins, you earn static income, literally by doing nothing except having your heroes set out there. Like Neindorf said, it's not quite staking, because it's not like you actually have to deposit anything, but you're throwing your defenders out there, and you can earn passive income by that. Comparably speaking, if you have 3 heroes and you think you can beat the system, or you feel like you can beat the teams out there, you can bet your 10 Joule, and if you win, you get raffle tickets comparable to what you currently get out on the DFK Duel right now. And the whole key to the Fight Club game is we want people to feel like they can interject skill into winning. And so if you really know how the game works and all the different abilities of the pets that you're fighting against, then you have the chance to outsmart the AI or outsmart the system. And then I should note as well that the pets will kind of run based on their own in-game protocol. So once you set that team, you're not going to be piloting them when you set them to be defenders.
yeah, dude, this is I don't know. This is really awesome. I see friends posting in their instant pet utility, and I think that's exactly what we're trying to do here. Is provide a new spin on it. And this is something that we also had confirmation, I believe, from Frisky, that they have no intent of doing a versus pet only sort of system. So we kind of have a really interesting mix of this AI where you're kind of learning the game to play against pets and earn tickets while you're doing it,
Hmm.
and kind of tune your craft in this DFK Fight Club environment. Um, Plus, you could put your pets up to stake and, like you said, earn passive tickets and passive income. So I don't know. This is really cool. I'm really interested to see how he comes up with these stats or the skill points that your abilities rather that these pets will be able to use and how they're going to be pulled from the card. I think he's a master of balance. I think a lot of these classes and whatnot from Fight Club are very well balanced and they make for a really fun game. So I'm jacked about this. This is going to be awesome.
Really excited too. All right, I just got a common knight. He's shiny though,
All right,
and he's a forager. That's okay.
Night Forager. All right.
All right. Well, I had a 0.4% chance. Yeah, 0.4% chance of getting a thief with my last summon that I just did with the Gen Zero and a rented Gen Zero, and I got a thief, common thief. So, hooray! He's
There
at
you
least a
go.
thief fisher. So, so I have that. All right. Well, anything else that you want to talk about Nine North before we end the podcast?
No, I don't think so. I think, this is a lot of content to digest. I think we're all going to keep doing that over the course of the next weeks. But I think it's all really good news, and I couldn't be more excited.
All right. Okay, so let me jump back over to YouTube, see if there's any more questions coming through. No more questions today. So, all right. Well, that's it for Neindorf and Raph. Thank you very much, and take care and have a great night.